welcome to my channel, Fred Makes Things, and our monthly quilt update video for October 2025. This video is going to be in 3 main parts. Part 1 is temperature quilt update. Part 2 is the September block for our murder mystery quilt that we're working on, and then part 3 is going to be talking about the Halloween quilt along that I've been doing, the Nocturnal Soul QAL. Timestamps are on the screen, in the description box, and as chapters in the video. So if there's something that you're really curious about and you don't care about the other things, feel free to use those timestamps. So before we get started, a couple of little things. Hi all, hello to the new subscribers, the OGs, anyone in between. Hello to the people curious about some of these projects and kind of want to see what it's all about. To anyone that the algorithm has recommended, check out this video. And then to anyone else who happens to be watching. I knew Junior could not resist. We'll leave him for a minute because he wasn't in Monday's video at all. So we'll let him hang out in this video for a little bit. I also want to say that I was thinking about delaying this video until I got stuff a little bit more finished, but then I thought, no, it's better to talk about things kind of like as a progression kind of works, right? Sometimes we're really super productive, sometimes we're not super productive. So what I had hoped in my mind to get done and what I actually got done this month or over the past month are two completely different things. And you'll see that in basically every single quilt that we talk about today. First off, you'll notice that there's no kittens and cups this update either. So that's 2 months in a row that I haven't had a chance to work on that. And yeah, we'll talk about it as we go through, but I wanted to, like, I could have put this off until next week and been able to come to you with like fully finished and completed things. And I even tried today to work through some things before coming down and talking about these projects, but some months, sometimes you just can't get everything done that you want to get done. So you'll see what I'm talking about as we talk through these projects, but that is the theme of this video, I think, is hoping to get stuff finished and not quite getting there. So let's get into part 1, temperature quilt. So as we've all been following along since January, I have been making a 2025 temperature quilt. I make a temperature quilt every year. This is my 3rd year doing so. And every year I make it a little bit differently. So time to move baby cat so we can talk about temperature quilt. He's gonna be so mad at me because the house is a little cool today and the lights are warm. So we'll move everything else out of the way to talk temperature quilt. So our last update we talked finished up to August and attached, up to the end of August and attached. Working through September, I was a couple of days behind in September, but you know, we were moving along at a decent pace. This month, there is no addition to the actual quilt top itself. Here's a photo of it from the end of August. Couple things happened to derail my progress on this quilt. So quilt top is done to the end of August, just like it was done before. The strips for September are finished as well. Here is September 1st to 15th. And then here is September 16th to 30th. Finishing on a solid block because each row is 16 blocks long, and on months with 30s, months that end in 30 and not 31, get an extra block at the end to balance everything out. Temperature wise, everything has stayed the same. There's no new additional colors, right? We didn't end up dipping below 5 degrees Celsius. You can kind of see them lined up together, waiting to be attached to the main body. Now, normally as I work on these quilts, as I finish up a row, or around the time that I finish up a row, I attach it to the main quilt top so that I'm only attaching one row at a time. But September was interesting in that I had reached almost to the very end of this month. I had reached to this date here, somewhere one of these 2 days, and I ran out of orange fabric, and I had to order it from Fat Quarter Shop. I didn't do an unboxing or anything of it because it was just that fabric and some insole fleece. So there wasn't really anything to worry about, but I had to wait, right, a week or so for the orange to come in, and then I progressed along my merry way. But in the time that I was waiting for the fabric to come in, we had hit the end of September, early October, and as we talked in the last quilt update video, I had started the Nocturnal Soul Quilt Along, and that meant that a lot of my time was being taken up with working on those quilt blocks, and I kept deprioritizing the temperature quilt. And then I went back to the temperature quilt, right? Try to catch up. I usually fall up behind 5 or 6 days. When I came back to the temperature quilt to get going on October's, I found out I was out of yellow fabric as well. Should have ordered that from Fat Quarter Shop. Didn't. I think it's because they didn't have the yellow fabric from Fat Quarter Shop, or from Laundry Basket Quilts, available anymore on their website. So I went straight to the source, Laundry Basket Quilts, ordered it in the yellow. I ordered, I think, a full yard of it because I don't think I could get something smaller. And now I'm just waiting on that to arrive. I ordered it early last week, and I'm still waiting on it for it to arrive. And so then again, I set everything aside. To be completely honest, I thought that I had attached these 2 rows to the temperature quilt. Like, I thought, oh, I'm just waiting on the yellow for October. Couldn't even get started for October because yellow starts the month, and it's also the very first couple of days in October as well. And I just figured, well, I have other priorities to work on, so I set it aside. And then yesterday, Monday, when I was collecting all of this stuff to get ready to talk to you all about it, I realized that I hadn't attached these 2 strips to the temperature quilt. So I can't show you what September looks like because I hadn't attached it. I was going to do it today, and then I got distracted making the final block for the Nocturnal Soul quilt, trying to get that done, and kept saying to myself, oh, it's really quite easy to like attach these, so I'll just attach them. And then before I knew it, it's 5 o'clock in the afternoon. I haven't had lunch yet. I've been working on that final block for Nocturnal Soul for 7 hours. Didn't have time to attach these, and instead of pushing back filming the video any further or doing a bunch of other stuff, I just decided to film and show you that sometimes things get out of hand. So I am really happy with the strips. We're showing a lot more green in them, right? We're hitting cooler temperatures, but it's still, the color story is still very, very similar to August, and they are ready to be attached. So when I'm done sewing the Nocturnal Soul quilt, probably when I'm done sewing the quilt top together, I will come back, attach these to this, right, and call it done. This is sideways. Anyway, why is that yellow? Oh, maybe I'm not starting with yellow. Maybe I'm starting with red. Orange? Pink? I don't know. I don't remember. Suddenly I'm second guessing myself. But anyway, that is the temperature quilt update. Yeah, it kind of has fallen by the wayside with paying attention to other things instead. So now let's talk part 2. Murder Mystery Quilt Along, or Murder Mystery Quilt thing. So announcement for the Murder Mystery Quilt. They are doing pre-orders until the end of October, I believe, pre-registration. You need to have a link to get to register. The yearly price for the Murder Mystery Quilt is $99 for the full year. For that, you get the pattern, the access to the resources that they provide. You become part of a Facebook group as well, so that you all kind of work together, and you get a story, right? A murder mystery story that the quilt blocks can help you solve. Each month is, or each year is a different theme. This year is Murder in Machu Picchu. And then you get a couple of corresponding blocks or so per month. I've been really enjoying it. I enjoyed it at $99. I really enjoy the idea of $88. And they're also running an offer where you could also get like Murder in Hawaii, which is a previous year's quilt. I'm not sure which year it belongs to, for some extra amount of money. I don't know if I'm going to do the Hawaii quilt yet, but I am going to sign up for the pre-order for this year's quilt, or for next year's quilt. They're announcing the theme October 31st, I think, but honestly, it doesn't matter. I'm going to sign up anyway. And if you are so interested in signing up for next year's Murder Mystery Quilt and you want to pay the $88 rather than the $99, let me know in the comments section, or send me an email to fredmakesthings@gmail.com, and I will send you the link to the video. I'm not going to publish the link because it's kind of like a friends and family thing, and I don't want to make something like that public for everybody, but do feel free to send me an email and I will send you the link. And then with that being said, we're going to talk about more foundation paper piecing this month. So for September, we were given 3 options. We were given a traditional print, a traditionally pieced block, and 2 paper pieced blocks, and we had to choose 2. I had initially planned on doing this flower and the traditional paper pieced block, but I had cut out this flower block before remembering that I had a different plan when I went about doing this. So I ended up making this flower And then I also made this flower because I liked this flower. This is a quinine, I believe it is called. Yes, it is a quinine flower and a potato flower. And they're a lot of work. Like, it took me almost a week to make the potato flower with like a lot of pieces. Like, here's a photo of all of the pieces laid out after I like attached them all together, so that I just had to like lay out the individual pieces of paper to sew it together. But it took me like a week to sew all of the little pieces together first, and then I sat looking at it for like 3 days before coming back and attaching it all together. And so it seemed deceptively simple, but it was probably one of the most complicated blocks that I've made with this murder mystery quilt scenario. Outside of the condor, when we pieced the condor together, that was a lot of work too. But this, for being so deceptively simple, took a lot of time and effort to put together. And I have to be honest, I don't really like it. I don't like the wonky feeling of the block. And if you look closely, there's a little bit of dirt and stuff, but if you look closely, all of my points line up really, really nicely. It is designed to be a little wonky. And I know that is some people's style, and I think that is so neat and so cool, but it's not my style. So I don't really like this block. It's the first block of the Murder Mystery series that I am not a huge fan of. And so I made this, and then I sat back and didn't touch the Murder Mystery quilt for weeks. And then I realized that the second Wednesday was coming up last week, and I needed to make the second block, so I made the quinine. Again, I'd already cut out the pieces. I just needed to do the actual piecing of it. So I did that. I worked on that. This only took me like a day and a half to put together. And then I think it came out really cool. Again, the points are looking really good. I am definitely getting better at foundation paper piecing as I go along. I do need to flatten it out a little bit more, and I think I need to square it up a little bit. But whereas this took me a week, this took me like 2 days, and I really like it. The only real wonky part is this part right here. And by the time that I made it to that point, it was like Monday evening, I think. And I just wanted to get it done so that I didn't have to worry about bumping right up on that Wednesday deadline. If there is no penalty for not hitting the Wednesday deadline, it's just the new blocks were launched on the Wednesday. And if you get it posted in the Facebook group in time, they send you extra clues to help you solve the murder. This one is dirty because we pulled out the air conditioners out of our upstairs windows this past weekend. These were sitting out, and they got in the chaos of moving that stuff out, this got thrown on the floor. It got a little wet, and then it got a little bit dirty, but it'll come out clean. This here is a bit of an ink stain from the paper. It'll come out too. I'm not overly concerned about it, but that's what these look like. I had hoped to get this month's paper, or this month's blocks done to show you as well, because I believe it's only one, and one is quite simple, and the other one is a fairly simple looking foundation paper pieced one. But again, Nocturnal Soul took up a lot of my time. And also last week, I had made plans to do a walkthrough of a oversized coaster, and also walkthrough of some easy beginner-friendly quilt blocks, and that took up a large chunk of my time too. I always forget how big those kinds of videos are, how long they take, how long it takes to make everything, plan everything, and then film and edit everything. So that ate up a large chunk of my time, kind of like a bit of the week before and last week. So I got September's done, and I still have a few weeks to get October's done as well. So that is where we're at with the Murder Mystery Quilt. And now finally, we're talking Nocturnal Soul. And we have all of our blocks in. People are showing their finished quilt tops. Everything is looking really, really cool. I still have one block left to do. This block here that I have up on the screen. It is upstairs. It is about halfway done. I'm about 9 hours into working on it, and I keep messing up. I keep making certain blocks wrong, and so I keep having to remake pieces. And we're talking small pieces. Most of the pieces measure 1.5 by 1.5 inches or 1.5 by 2.5 inches. So sometimes if you mess up, it's easier just to cut a new piece rather than messing around with your old pieces. And before I came down today, I had messed up twice on the same block. And it's a fairly complicated block, and it's only 1.5 by 2.5 inches. So I said, that's it, I'm done. I can't get this done to talk about in this video. Came down to talk to you all. So anyway, to refresh, this is a photo of what we are making. It's the Nocturnal Soul quilt, hosted by a couple of lovely quilters. If you follow me on Instagram, you've seen weekly updates, weekly progress kind of reports on that. But the first things that we made were 4 of these moons, 4 of these stars. You saw this cat here. I still need to trim it and stuff. You saw this book as well. I need to clean it up. I need to clean them all up. But these are what we've seen already. I know, Junior, my love. No. So we've seen these 4 already. That's what we started with. The following week, we were sent 2 more blocks to do. It was this really cool and simplified pumpkin. This is what made me decide to do pumpkin. Pumpkin blocks for that tutorial video I was talking about for last week. A pumpkin block is quite simple, so I didn't lift anything specifically from this specific creator's pattern, but she did definitely inspire me. Then we had this one here. This one is called the Gothic Moth, and this was interesting. We had a lot of fun shapes to work with. We had like some fun colors to play around with, and I messed up a little bit, as you can see, but I think that once it's all quilted and put together, it'll look pretty cool. So this was the same week as this pumpkin. Here's photos of them laid out for you. Then we had probably the most difficult foundation piece block I've ever had done in my entire life. It's called Kilbur's Raven. The fabric that was set aside for this is this here, the spider web fabric, and I thought that it would look a little too busy with the raven, and also like with all of these pieces, the webs it'd be impossible to line all of the webs up. So I went into my stash and pulled out this beautiful purple fabric, right? It's part of the Twinkle line from Laundry Basket Quilts. So the same line as my temperature quilt, but you know, in purple. And I did it for this instead. And I think I messed up in some of this area in here, but like this eye took me so long to do. Like it's 1, 2, 3, 4 different rounds of fabric in like a 1-inch square. Like if you look on the back, I still haven't pulled the paper out from in there yet. And I've only pulled out the paper from part of this. But yeah, that is a dense piece of fabric. There's so much fabric, there's so many layers here that like it feels like it's like embroidered almost. And I did trim and clean it up as I went along, but just with how small and fine this detailing is, it just took absolutely forever. So I was working on this at the same time as I was working on the potato flowers. As this, so it was just complicated upon complicated that week. And this is like all that I managed to get done at all that week. And this guy took me like 4 days to do. All of the bigger pieces were fine, right? I've had experience with like the condor and stuff, but just this part right in here just took so long. And then even if you look in the beak, right, you have several layers of very fine kind of detail work to like get the gap in the beak right. So that's the raven. And then the week after that, they made it a little bit easier on us, and they sent us this potions called Potions and Notions. So you have 2 potions bottles and a spool. And after I get back from quilting it, or I'm not sure if I'm going to quilt it or if I'm going to send it off to my long armor or what, but I'm going to hand embroider like some thread detailing and stuff on the spool. So it was that, and then I kind of got behind after that, because then I started to focus on that tutorial video, and I started making this candle block, and it didn't work for me. Like I wasn't liking the way the colors were coming together. All of this here is the plan, and then they wanted me to put like not they, but like the people that I bought the bundle from it, 2 Chicks Quilting, they sent a really beautiful bundle of fabric. But this was a color that was supposed to be solid black, and I didn't like it with it at all. This part was proving to be too small too. Like when you hit this black component here, like the stars that are now here, they're supposed to measure 8.5 inches, and mine was only measuring like 7.5, 7 3/4. So it was already too small to begin with, and it was causing me problems, and nothing was sitting right, and I wasn't liking any of it. So I set it aside to work on this week instead. We did a split seam here on the candle. I don't know if I like it or not, but we did a split seam on the candle. But yeah, it's still also a little bit small. So what I'm thinking of doing is squaring all of this up and then running like a black border around it. Some of my blocks are not 12.5 inches square, and for those ones I am thinking of cutting it down and doing like a shadow border or something, so that you can kind of see the color difference in the sashing. But I don't know. And then finally I finished this cat block yesterday or Sunday. Saturday? Saturday or Sunday. I finished it the same day that I finished the candle block. Actually, yeah, because I did this and then I said, oh, I'm going to cut out the candle block, and then before I knew it, I had made the candle block, because I recut almost all new pieces for this. I only had the 2 border pieces left over. I recut everything else, and it's kind of sitting puffy, but I'm sure if I ironed it properly, I would get it to lay flat. And then this is the cat. The cat was one of the blocks for last week, along with the one that I showed you at the beginning of the video. It was deceptively hard. It looks quite simple, but it was deceptively hard. So every single seam in this was pulled apart probably at least twice and put together. And yeah, now it's finished. So I didn't pause to show you pictures here, but here's a picture of the cat. Here's a picture of the candle. Here's a picture of the Notions bottle. And I did add the purple stars fabric so that the purple gets mixed in enough and it looks intentional. Then the raven. And then I know I paused on the pumpkin block and the moth block. And then here are the first 2 blocks that I made as well. The book and the cat ghost. So yeah, all I have left to do now is to finish the last block, the witchy block, and clean up all of the edges, add borders to the ones that need borders added to it. And I believe that all of them, for the most part, have enough spacing around the outside that if I need to add borders to everything to balance it out, I can without losing too much of the original block. Like nothing is cutting it too close that I can't do that. So yeah, trimming them up or squaring them off, squaring them up, and then attaching the sashing and finishing the quilt top. The sashing is already cut, ready to go. I just need to finish or to clean everything up and finish block 9. Then we had the murder mystery quilt blocks, and I still have the ones for October to do, and I have to catch up on my temperature quilt. So not as much progress as I had hoped to get done. It doesn't help that I got sick towards the end of the week and kind of ended up not being able to sew for 2 days, so that kind of threw everything off as well. But I think sometimes that just happens. I believe that for the majority of this year, I have been able to keep pace with all of the projects that I have going on. Adding this quilt along really kind of added a lot more effort, a lot more work to my plate this the last couple of months, but I've really enjoyed making it all. So I guess we're into final thoughts. What do you all think? Do you like them? Are you surprised at how much foundation paper piecing I have been doing this year, especially since I hadn't really done anything before the llama way back in what, March? And now it seems like every single month I have something to do with foundation paper piecing. Are you liking how all of the Nocturnal Soul quilt blocks look. Each one was designed by a different designer, but I think that like using the same colors and having the same theme really makes them all feel really cohesive. And I really like that some of them were extremely beginner friendly projects, while other ones definitely needed a more skilled hand. We're on the intermediate kind of spectrum. But even in like the Facebook group for the quilt along, the people in there were so kind, and they help each other out so much. And if anybody has a question or if anybody's struggling, everybody kind of jumps in to like help them out or offer advice, encouragement, all of that stuff. And so I really, really enjoyed doing it. And if the creators of this quilt do other quilt alongs in the future, I'm definitely sure I will sign up for those as well. But yeah, what do I have coming up? So I don't know what Friday's video is going to be. I was hoping Cat Lady would make its appearance. If Cat Lady doesn't make its appearance, I might just not have a Friday video and wait for them to show up and then do it when it arrives. Just because, as you can see from this video, I am behind in a lot of my projects. And if I need to take some time off to focus on those and just do the Cat Lady box when it arrives and have that video up, it might be what I do instead. Monday is our 6-month Mary Maxim review video. So, right, part of Mary Maxim Mondays. Wednesday, I am hoping to get a Sewers Club revisit video up for you. In the back of my head, I've been playing with redoing the bag from a couple of months ago, and so I've kind of been in the planning stages of that, and so I'd like to maybe make that, film it, and get it up for you on Wednesday. And on Friday it's going to be another Cat Lady unboxing video. So if any of that interests you, do think about subscribing. Let me know if you've ever taken on so many projects that you suddenly feel very overwhelmed and nothing gets done. And if you do, what do you do to try to like mitigate that and work through it? I will say that with what I've been doing with this is kind of what Liz has been doing over on her channel, and setting aside allotted amounts of time per week to get things done. So for like my temperature quilt, I kind of allotted like an hour a week, right, to kind of just sit down and work through it and get it done, because I was behind with all of the orange. And then that was working well until I hit the stop of the yellow, and now I'm just waiting on that. But when I get the yellow back, that's my plan, to work through the blocks from this month too, or from last month, to get them done. Again, I set aside time and I thought, okay, I need to work on them and I need to get like set aside this amount of time to get that done, which is how I ended up getting behind on the Nocturnal Soul quilt, and then trying to actually make space for other projects as well. So again, it's like I'm trying really hard to work within time management, but let me know your strategies to trying to get everything done. Like the video if you've made it to the end. Like the video if you like these kinds of quilt update videos. We do one of them a month, usually the 2nd or 3rd Wednesday of the month. And yeah, I'm gonna go. So with all that being said, I'm gonna say thank you so much for watching, and I will talk with you again soon.